The rising sun illuminated the imposing walls of Rome, reflecting the grandeur of the empire that stretched across vast lands. In the busy streets, merchants announced their goods while citizens celebrated the prosperity of the eternal city. At the heart of this empire, in the 10th Legion, served Marcus Valerius, a young soldier known for his unmatched bravery and dedication. Marcus grew up on the outskirts of Rome, the son of a respected blacksmith and a devoted mother. From an early age, he demonstrated exceptional combat skills, surpassing his companions in strength and dexterity. However, his true distinction arose after a mysterious ritual conducted by Roman priests, seeking the protection of the gods. In the initial confrontation against a rebellious tribe, Marcus survived injuries that would have been fatal to anyone else, emerging unscathed from the bloodiest battles. The news of his invulnerability spread quickly, turning Marcus into a legendary figure among his peers. His comrades admired him, but there were also murmurs of fear and superstition. As Rome prospered, a new legend was born, destined to face challenges that would test not only his physical strength, but also his character and loyalty to the empire. The first light of morning revealed a map spread out on the stone table in the commander's tent. Marcus Valerius studied the lines that outlined the borders of the Roman Empire. An emergency meeting had been called after news of an unexpected alliance between barbarian tribes, led by the charismatic Gaius Magnus. This leader had united forces that threatened not only the borders, but the stability of Rome as a whole. General Cassius, Marcus's mentor, highlighted the gravity of the situation. "We need a capable leader to face this threat. Marcus, your reputation precedes you. Are you willing to take on this mission?" With a resolute nod, Marcus accepted the challenge, feeling the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. Beside him, Elia, a young strategist and his romantic interest, offered words of encouragement. "I trust you, Marcus. Rome depends on your strength and wisdom." As preparations began, the tension in the military camp increased. Marcus knew this mission would not only test his invulnerability, but also his leadership and ability to unite diverse allies toward a common goal. With renewed determination, he prepared to face the challenges ahead, aware that the fate of Rome was in his hands. The Roman troops marched under the firm command of Marcus Valerius, crossing the dense forests that marked the empire's border. The air was thick with tension, each step echoing as a prelude to the approaching battles. Cassius, always the strategist, shared tactics with Marcus, while Lucia, the healer, prepared potions to treat the wounded. The first confrontation came as a surprise. A barbarian ambush struck during the night, with arrows flying and fierce warriors attempting to break through the Roman lines. Marcus, immune to wounds, led his men with skill, dodging arrows with superhuman agility and responding with precise blows. His presence inspired the soldiers, who fought with renewed courage upon seeing their leader unshaken. After the battle, Marcus spoke with Cassius and Lucia, reflecting on the growing threat of Gaius Magnus. "These initial confrontations show that we need to be more prepared. Facing a unified force like his won't be easy," Cassius pondered. Lucia added, "There are mystical forces at play. We need to understand better what we're up against." Marcus nodded, realizing that his journey was just beginning and that greater challenges awaited them. After the initial confrontations, Marcus Valerius returned to the camp to report the results of the battles. However, something was unsettling his mind. During an inspection of the Roman ranks, he noticed confidential documents missing from the command's archives. His curiosity led him to discreetly investigate, revealing evidence of corruption among some high-ranking officers. On a quiet night, Marcus confronted his mentor, Cassius, about the inconsistencies in the records. Cassius reluctantly revealed that there were rumors of bribery and betrayal, possibly linked to the alliance of the barbarians led by Gaius Magnus. Determined to protect Rome from within and without, Marcus decided to delve deeper into the investigation. Elia, noticing Marcus's distress, offered her support. "If there are traitors among us, we need to find out who they are before it's too late," she said, strengthening the bond between them. Together, they began unraveling a web of lies and hidden interests that threatened the integrity of the empire. As they dug deeper into Rome's secrets, Marcus faced a dilemma: follow his duty as a military leader, or fight against the corruption that was corroding the city he had sworn to protect. The shadow of betrayal loomed over him, making every decision more difficult and dangerous. After uncovering the first signs of corruption in Rome, Marcus Valerius realized that the only way to confront Gaius Magnus was by uniting forces with neighboring tribes. Determined to strengthen the Empire's defenses, he set out on a diplomatic mission, accompanied by Cassius and Aelia. The first stop was in the lands of Tiberius, a tribal leader known for his wisdom and reluctance to ally with the Romans. The negotiations were tense. Cultural differences and mutual distrust threatened the agreement. Marcus, demonstrating respect and understanding for Tiberius's traditions, managed to establish common ground. "Together, we are stronger than apart," he said, gaining the tribal leader's trust. Simultaneously, Valeria, a skilled spy, infiltrated enemy territories to secure the loyalty of smaller tribes. Her risky missions provided crucial information that facilitated strategic alliances. However, not everyone was convinced. Some tribal leaders, influenced by Valeria, viewed the Romans with suspicion, fearing the Empire's domination. As alliances formed, internal conflicts arose. Some Roman soldiers questioned the need to trust former enemies, while tribal leaders feared losing their autonomy. Aelia played a crucial role, mediating disputes and reinforcing the importance of unity for everyone's survival. Over time, the alliances began to solidify, setting the stage for more decisive confrontations against the forces of Gaius Magnus. The atmosphere in Rome was heavy with tension. Marcus Valerius had discovered that confidential documents were being tampered with, indicating an internal conspiracy. During a secret meeting with Cassius and Aelia, one of the high-ranking officers, Gaius Decimus, was exposed as the traitor. His betrayal aimed to destabilize Rome's defenses to facilitate the rise of Gaius Magnus. The news of the betrayal shocked the group. Amid the chaos, Lucia, the mystical healer, revealed a secret about the origin of Marcus's invulnerability. "It's not just a ritual, Marcus. There's an ancient curse linked to your protection. Each battle brings you closer to losing this gift," she explained, her eyes reflecting concern. The revelation deeply shook Marcus. The loss of his invulnerability would mean not only physical vulnerability, but also the end of his legend. While processing the information, Cassius announced that Tiberius had been killed in an ambush, a painful loss that temporarily weakened the alliances formed. Determined to face both external and internal enemies, Marcus felt the weight of his responsibilities double. His relationship with Lucia deepened as she became an essential ally in the search for answers about his unique condition. With shaken confidence and new challenges ahead, Marcus knew that every decision would be crucial for the fate of Rome. Dawn painted the sky with shades of orange and gold as Marcus Valerius gathered his troops at the Allied camp. The newly united tribes, led by the now-deceased Tiberius, represented a diverse and powerful force. Cassius outlined the strategies, combining Roman disciplinary tactics with the guerrilla techniques of the tribes. Aelia coordinated logistics, ensuring supplies and reinforcements were available for the imminent offensive. As they advanced toward the borders, the tension grew. Gaius Magnus waited on the hills, his forces numerically superior and determined to protect their dominion. The battle began with a coordinated attack, tribal archers shooting arrows while the Roman legions advanced in tight formation. Marcus, despite his invulnerability, led from the front, inspiring his men with each decisive step. The fight was fierce and relentless. Marcus's abilities ensured his survival, but the losses were heavy. Lucia moved among the wounded, trying to save as many as possible. At the height of the combat, an unexpected ambush left the group vulnerable, forcing Marcus to make a difficult decision. Realizing that victory required a greater sacrifice, he foresaw the need for a heroic act that could change the battle's fate and Rome's future forever. The battlefield was filled with smoke and chaos as Marcus Valerius watched Gaius Magnus's forces approach, imposing and relentless. The alliances formed, and the meticulously planned strategies were about to be tested as never before. However, a distressing revelation from Lucia shook Marcus. To defeat Magnus and secure Rome's safety, he would have to sacrifice his invulnerability, becoming as vulnerable as any other soldier. That night, under the starry sky, Marcus gathered with Cassius and Aelia. "If I lose my invulnerability, I'll be able to face Magnus on equal terms. It's the only way to guarantee our victory and protect those we love," he explained, determination reflected in his eyes. Aelia held his hand firmly. "If that's the price to save Rome, then it's a sacrifice you're willing to make. We're with you, Marcus." With a heavy heart, Marcus made his decision. The following dawn, he led his troops with renewed courage, knowing his special protection had been removed. The battle was intense and brutal. Without invulnerability, every blow carried more weight, every movement required more effort. However, Marcus's inspiring leadership and the spirit of his troops proved to be the key to destabilizing Magnus's forces. At the battle's climax, Marcus faced Gaius Magnus personally, fighting with all his skill and bravery. With a decisive blow, he managed to defeat Magnus, but not without suffering serious injuries. Victory had been achieved, but the personal cost was high. As the Roman troops celebrated, Marcus collapsed on the field, exhausted and wounded, but triumphant for having made the necessary sacrifice to save Rome. The silent battlefield reflected the calm before the storm. Marcus Valerius, now vulnerable and visibly wounded, positioned himself strategically in front of Gaius Magnus's forces. The alliances formed in the previous weeks were present, forming a united front against the common threat. Marcus took a deep breath, feeling every heartbeat pulse with renewed determination. Gaius Magnus advanced with his army, confident in his numerical superiority. However, Marcus had predicted every move, using siege tactics learned from his tribal allies. He ordered an ambush in the surrounding forests, where tribal archers and Roman legionaries attacked by surprise, disrupting the enemy lines. At the heart of the confrontation, Marcus faced Gaius Magnus personally. Without the protection of his invulnerability, every blow was a real threat. The fight was intense, with both leaders displaying exceptional skills. Finally, with a strategic move, Marcus managed to disarm Magnus, asserting himself not only through strength, but also through cunning and courage. Victory was won at a high cost. Many allies fell, and Marcus, exhausted and wounded, witnessed the fall of his enemy. Magnus's forces were dismantled, ensuring Rome's safety. As the survivors celebrated the victory, Marcus knew that the newly won peace came with the responsibility to rebuild and honor the sacrifices made. With the fall of Gaius Magnus, the battlefield began to calm. Marcus Valerius, exhausted and wounded, watched the Roman banners fluttering in the wind. Victory had been achieved, but not without sacrifices. His fellow soldiers surrounded him, offering help and expressing gratitude for the courageous leadership that guided them to victory. Back in Rome, Marcus was received as a hero. The streets were decorated with flowers, and citizens chanted his name. Aelia approached him, her eyes reflecting pride and concern. "You did what was necessary, Marcus. Rome is in your debt." As the celebration festivals took over the city, Cassius and Lucia worked to restore order and strengthen Rome's defenses, preventing future threats. Marcus, now without his invulnerability, dedicated himself to training the new generation of soldiers, passing on not only his skills, but also the values of courage and sacrifice. On a quiet afternoon, Marcus walked through the gardens of the Forum, reflecting on his journey. "True power doesn't lie in invulnerability, but in the will to protect those we love," he murmured to himself. His legacy was not just the title of invincible hero, but the inspiration he left for future generations of Romans. As the sun set over the eternal city, Marcus knew that, although his era of battles had ended, his spirit of leadership and selflessness would continue to guide Rome toward a prosperous and secure future.